Lee Rubin, welcome to the conversation today.
Hey, John, thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure you're joining us from Florida. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. Today, we're going to be talking about the modern workplace, a variety of things related to the modern workplace and the future of work. But I thought we might hone in on talking about work-life balance and employee well-being within that context. We live in a challenging time. There's a lot of upheaval, a lot of polarization, a lot of burnout, a lot of uncertainty around tech and displacement and AI and like all that stuff. Like all of this is swirling around us and happening all at the same time. And I just think it makes for an environment where people are struggling. From line level employees all the way up through middle management to senior executives. And it's a good reminder that we always need to remember work-life balance or life-work integration, whatever verbiage or framing you like to use.
Yep.
Same principles I think apply that we're human and we need to make sure that we remember we're human and our people are human and that humanity needs to be of high focus. As you know, of course, we're trying to run a business, we're trying to make money, we're trying to stay competitive. All that, of course, is important. Otherwise, we can't stay in business and we can't employ people and all of that. So there's a tension, there's a balance, but we have to make sure that we're also looking out for our people. So this is what we're going to explore together today. As we get started, I wanted to share Lee's bio with everybody. Lee Rubin is a visionary, cultured leader with over a decade of experience in B2B sales. She first came up with the idea to help companies plan better corporate events back in 2014 when tasked with planning an event for her team. Lee is a leading pioneer of the virtual event space, pivoting Confetti from in person to virtual team building following the 2020 pandemic. Her deep expertise and passion lies in helping companies scale and improve company culture. I think that's awesome. And I would love to hear just even more about that transition during the pandemic because so many people, so many organizations went through that exact same type of challenge during that time. But before we launch on into the conversation, Lee, anything that you would like to highlight about your own background or personal context?
I mean, I think that the only item worth noting, especially for today's very big topic on work-life balance, is that I'm a mom now too. And, that's been very much an adjustment to be a CEO, a mom, and, a female and the product of Instagram who wants to look good and feel good and be on all the wellness trends that exist. So, I think work-life balance is something that I've really learned to hone in on the last few years of my life, and I'm excited to dive deeper.
Awesome, awesome. And maybe we can start with that transition period. So you get into the event planning space, you're doing all this in-person stuff, then the pandemic hits, and that had to be hard, for given the business that you're in. That had to be a bit of a shock and something that was I don't know, frightening, shall we say,
Oh yeah.
at the time. And I don't know, the timing of your children and everything, but you're balancing a lot. Potentially as a young mother at the time, I don't know, but you're a CEO, you're balancing the health and wellness of yourself, of your people. You're trying to honestly stay in business at the time, right? And yeah, just walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wasn't a mom at the time. I am a relatively, I think I can still say maybe I'm a relatively new mom. But we raised our first round of capital at the end of 2019. And then we launched our beta in the beginning of 2020. And a few short months later, COVID hit. We needed to pivot over to virtual. And that pivot was definitely nerve-wracking. I think that in that moment I was very confused, like many of us were, like, is this like a 2 week thing? Is this like a 2 month thing? Is this like a 5, 10, 20 year thing? Like, I was just like, what's going on? We have no idea. Um, but yeah, I was living in New York, and I had moved to Florida, lived back with my parents, and that was a whole weird thing. You know, you're in your 30s and all of a sudden you're living back with your parents because you're a single woman and your concerned mom is like, Lee, that's it. I know you're Miss Independent, but you need to come home and you need to just like have a little bit of that shift in pace. And I moved back in, and we ended up pivoting the company during that time and became one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. And then once COVID started settling back in, I moved back to New York, and there was a lot to kind of do, and life was a little bit more stabilized in between the chaos. But yeah, it was a wild ride, and today Confetti works with over 11,000 companies, and we still primarily are focused on virtual, but we've got our eyes on what the future of work looks like. And just for the listeners out there, maybe it's also worthwhile sharing that we help modern teams build a culture that people can actually feel, right? Not just talk about, and we bring it to life through moments that make work feel more human, more connected, more energizing. And there's two primary ways of how companies work with us. We have our high impact live hosted experiences. Those are really great for the moments that matter, kickoffs, team resets, leadership offsites. And then we also have our whole suite of self-hosted toolkits and tools. Those are really for the everyday moments like team meetings, one-on-ones, and workshops. And actually, the self-guided really came to place when I really was listening to customers, and so many of them were like, "We're so busy, we don't have time to like pause and like do these big events." And we're like, "Okay, well, those are still important. Take those times to do those events, one, two, three, four times a year. But in between, companies really needed a little bit more support that was more in line with their tempo, right? That connectivity that is 5 minutes or 10 minutes long at the end of a meeting or the beginning of a meeting or at the end of the week that really kind of fits their pace more. So, yeah, more to share on that, but I'll pause here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I find it interesting, as you're pivoting as a company to try to move into the virtual event space, on the one hand, that's challenging because there's all the uncertainty around your model shifting. But on the other hand, it presented such a huge opportunity for you because every other company is then trying to all of a sudden go virtual and try to understand how to move into like virtual team building and virtual culture building and all of that, and having no clue how to do it, right? And then leaning into companies like yours to try to help them to do that, to facilitate it. And so, a huge challenge, but a huge opportunity at the same time. So that's kind of the perfect storm that you were there ready to take advantage of. So that's awesome. Um, how has like both for your company as well as other companies, how has like the return to office kind of trend impacted what you're doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, tons, right? Because when we pivoted over, technically like 100% of the world was basically remote
Yep.
first.
Yep.
And our markets changed and we had to evolve and realize, okay, a couple of years ago when COVID was at its height, everybody was our customer and everybody could be our customer. And now it's really a matter of like finding which companies are remote and how to do that. And that's definitely a challenge. But we one of the big components of Confetti is that they find us. We're very big on like an inbound sales motion where we're the leader in the space for virtual team building, and the folks who need us often hear about us through online formats or word of mouth, and so we're very fortunate for the credibility that we've established in the last few years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. So walk us through um what it has looked like for your team. So you do all this cool stuff for other organizations
Yeah.
to help them. What does it look like internally for Confetti
Ooh.
as you've navigated the past 5 years, as you've grown and scaled, as you know, you've just gone through funding, right? You're a young company. All of a sudden, you start to leverage this unique opportunity to grow and scale. But it's also happening at the same time that everyone is struggling during the pandemic. I don't know about you. I'm a father of many children. At the time, you didn't have children, but I imagine many of your employees did. Like you're trying to balance work and home and just everything, right? Like just all the challenges. Like how did you navigate that as a leader at the time?
Yeah, but by the way, you said you're a father of many children. How many children do you have?
I have six children.
6 kids. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so like my wife and I are both working. We have six children. I'm trying to think of the ages. They're all in elementary through high school at the time. And
Wow.
so, we have six kids like all around the kitchen table, like on devices, like trying to do their homework, and we're
Oh
trying to
my
help
God.
them while doing our work. It was freaking crazy.
Yeah, yeah. When you said like father of many kids, I was like, I have to know what number is he talking about? Yeah, six is definitely an ambitious number. Um, so I and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but your question to me was really just like, what does that look like internally? And I'll pause by actually saying like culture looks different at every company. Different company sizes, right, are going to operate culture differently. But I always say that culture isn't about, the parties and the policies. It's really how you show up for each other every single day. And I've probably made almost every single mistake in the book, but I've also made a lot of great change and evolved as a leader. And I'm more proud of the leader that I am today than I was even, many, many years ago. But I've always advocated for my team the same thing that I feel like I would advocate for my children, which is like, I want you to prioritize your health and your happiness on a personal level. I think that's something that's important for every employee to prioritize. And together we need to figure out, okay, what is the company asking you for? And how does that merge? How does that merge with health and happiness? Does that mean we need to create boundaries? Does that mean we need to work on communicating better? Like, does that mean we actually need to hire somebody new? But like that leads to a mutual like evolution. And I've seen a lot of my team members also evolve with me. Like I used to be one of those kind of, entrepreneur freaks that worked 18 hours a day and was kind of, proud of the fact that I didn't eat all day and that I didn't work out and I didn't do this. And that crept up on me. And when I started seeing my team do the same thing and that I was, kind of setting them an example and not a good one per se, is like, okay, now I want to show up for my team and say, like, no, I meditate now and I work out and we do walking meetings where we can. But I think a big portion of culture is really just communication. That's the foundation, is like how do we show up for one another? How do we get to know each other better? How do we communicate through challenges and expectations? And like that's truly the base
Yeah.
for like a healthy versus toxic workplace environment.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate you acknowledging that. It's super common, right? Like in any entrepreneurial startup kind of environment, to have that kind of work culture,
Yeah.
and it's exciting, it's energizing, and people often are drawn to it, um and so on the one hand you don't want to squash that, like you don't want to squash that energy. On the other hand, it's not sustainable. Like you can't go endlessly working those long hours, not taking care of your mental or physical health. And you certainly, especially as you start to scale and grow, you don't want your people to all see that example and feel like that's what's expected of them. um you know Especially when they do have families and eventually you have a family, like it's just not sustainable. Like that's not the kind of environment that you want moving forward. In the early days, you got your small founding group and you're churning and you're just having a blast, building stuff. Awesome. Like that's great. But yeah, you just at some point you have to learn, how to like really build out this, again, whatever term you want to use. Work-life balance, like life work integration is a term I like to use. Whatever term you like to use, like just make sure you're taking care of yourself. And it really is important for leaders to recognize that they signal to every other person on their team what the norms for your culture, like, and for your team are. They're the ones that see, oh, you don't take a lunch break, like you just gobble down food really quick at your desk. Oh, you work super long hours. You're here all night. Oh, like they notice all these things. You answer emails at 11 o'clock at night or at 2 in the morning. You expect me to respond immediately. Like they notice all of those things, and they start, whether it's your expectation or not that they answer emails at 2 in the morning, like they recognize that that's what you do, and then they start to feel like that's what they have to do, and it just creates this environment where it's just not sustainable. So there's all sorts of different practices we can put in place to kind of create of you know a system around the culture that we want.
Yeah.
But it all starts with us modeling, first. I think really, that kind of an environment. And so, and it, like you said, it's a journey for all of us. I just had my 47th birthday this last week. And so I think about, like, and I have six kids. I've been married for 23 years. I have six kids, and I'm much older. Like, it's different for me now than it was when I was in my 20s, right? Like, I just function differently. I work differently. I don't pull all-nighters now like I did once upon a time. And that's okay, but like, we all live, we all learn, we all grow. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I just think, but I'm also happy about that. I'm glad that, like, hopefully I live, what I strive to live, like a holistic, balanced, healthy life. And sometimes I do better at that than others, and I have a wife and I have children that call me on it, like when I get out of balance, like when I'm like, because I probably am still prone to like work too much.
Yeah.
And they call me on it, they're like, Dad, come on, put your phone away, put the laptop away, come on, like, we're doing family stuff right now, like, focus, like, do stuff with us, be present, like, those are good things, like, those are good reminders. And like, I think some people need it more than others, and I'm one that certainly needs it.
Totally. Yeah, I mean it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and um it's also an evolving journey, as I, said, like I wasn't always like this, and I think that there's a time and a place to do the very long days and hours, and if it's, critical to get a mission or job done, then we get the mission and job done, but over time it's not sustainable, as you said. And those things like find a way to actually hurt the business. And we also forget, like, how many times have you gone to like work out or gone for a walk or like taken that break and you've actually had some really amazing ideas that started to come to you when you were taking that break? I actually find that a lot of my really amazing ideas happen during that time. And we look at these moments in our lives as these like unproductive moments. And then when we're in there, we're like, wow, this is actually maybe even the most productive we've been. And it's a weirdly counterintuitive and like internally conflicting kind of thing where when we're working, we're like, oh, we can't take the break. But when we take a break, we realize just how valuable it is to us. And yeah, and I mean, just on like one of the larger topics that we've come together today to talk about in terms of like work-life balance and like how to start setting that up like amongst your team. Like we have like a toolkit that we offer our customers called like a team communication charter, right? Where you're having a 30-minute conversation around like expected response times and like when to use async versus meetings and like what's the definition of urgent and all these things. And like I tell my team, hey, I'm an advocate of you working more of the hours that are convenient and beneficial to you, which is why I don't mind and actually encourage people to send a note at 10, 11 at night if that's the right time for them. Because if they needed to, go on a break from 2 to 5 to take care of their kids, and then 11 is the next best time for them, go ahead and do that. And that might be also the right time for me, but it's important that we know just because one person sent a message, it doesn't mean that we need to be instantly available for everybody. And I think that's just like
Yeah, exactly. And that needs that expectation needs to be super clearly communicated, right? And if you don't, otherwise people then start to feel like, oh, now I have to, and then you have this always on culture. And so
exactly.
you're absolutely right. Like having those expectations crystal clear is really the most important thing.
Yeah, what are the core hours agreement? What are like our meeting standards, right? What is like our decision making framework or like our workload and capacity check-ins? Like these are conversations that managers can have with their team that basically empowers everybody to start creating a better work-life balance. What are priority clarity rituals that you have? What are the explicit after hour norms that we started talking about. Like all of these things are very important talking points. Like after a vacation, I tell my team, hey, tell customers you're still off for another 1 or 2 days because after vacation it becomes so overwhelming to manage your email and your Slack and everything that you're like, wait, I know I'm back working, but I need like a day or two to catch up. So, you know, you'll get paid for those 2 days that you're working, but don't tell customers yet maybe that you're available for meetings. Use those 1, 2 days to properly catch up and recover after you're sick or after you're coming from a vacation. Like those things are
Like that.
important to communicate.
I like that. Well, this has just been a really great conversation, Lee. I know we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more we could talk about, but I think these have been some really great things to start to explore. And I think the most important thing is for people to go back and have this conversation with your teams, right?
Absolutely.
And clarify expectations and take some time to self-reflect on what you're doing and how you're modeling for your teams. As we wrap things up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, how they can find out more about your work, your team, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of Confetti, you can find us at withconfetti.com. I love connecting with community via LinkedIn. So I think you can find me at like /Rubin L, but also just look at Lee Rubin, Rubin, and Lee is my first name. And did you say it was the word of the day? Is that what you said?
Final word. Yeah.
Oh, final word. I think my final word is, you treat your energy as the real currency, right? It's not just time and you know, just look at your time and design those intentional off moments and stop glorifying the responsiveness and, make rest part of your non-negotiable and yeah, I hope we all find that balance in between because they say you only live once. So
That's right. That's right. Lee, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Lee can do for you. Check out Confetti. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe. They can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.